Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another episode of Way Out Wednesday. My name is Dr. Ashley Southard. I'm the site director and clinical therapist at a New Beginning Outpatient Treatment Center and also the co-founder and program director of the Healthy Way Out Emotional and Binge Eating Program. So this month's episodes, I am drawing the parallels between what you do with food and what you do with your feelings, because there's actually a lot of similarities in those two processes. And so today I want to look at one of the facets of those parallels, and that is this experience of living in chaos. Now, I don't know if this resonates with you, but a lot of the people that I work with who struggle with emotional and binge eating will report feeling like there's a lot of chaos, both in their relationship with food, but also in their relationship with their feelings and with themselves in general. So let's look at how chaos can show up in your relationship with food. Well, for many people who struggle with emotional and binge eating, there tends to be this experience of ping-ponging between undereating and overeating. So the experiences with emotional and binge eating can leave you feeling like you need to undereat to compensate for the overeating. And so there's this vacillation between dieting and binge eating. Now, the undereating, which typically is a diet, leaves you feeling like you're in control of your eating and you're being healthy and you're being a good eater. But the problem with nearly all diets is that they tend to leave you feeling deprived, like you're missing out on some things that you really like and you can't have certain foods that you really want. And so this is really a setup for later losing control or eating things that you shouldn't be eating, like I talked about in the last video, and eventually binging. And it's the experience of binging that can really leave you out of control. And there's the ping-ponging between the undereating and the overeating, okay? And this is where it can feel really chaotic because you're going from not enough food to too much food and back to not enough food and then too much food. And it's that ping-ponging that can just feel so chaotic and dysregulating for you. Now, let's look at this same process relative to how you're feeling. Again, there can be this ping-ponging between what I'm calling underfeeling and overfeeling. So we tend to underfeel if we feel like we have a predisposition to overfeel. So underfeeling is kind of like dieting. It is trying to control yourself, trying to restrict yourself emotionally, shut down your emotions, appear to be fine, appear to have it all together, right? But it's in that experience of shutting things down that you are really denying your natural emotions and what you naturally want to do with those emotions. And eventually there's an emotional buildup that happens. And at some point, then you're going to have that emotional explosion like I talked about in the previous video. And that explosion can be equivalent to a binge. So it could be this huge emotional outburst. It can feel like a meltdown, like you're just completely out of control emotionally. It can also be highly linked to binge eating behavior. And sometimes when those emotions come out in big ways, rather than expressing them to others, we binge them away. Okay, so again, we're seeing that chaos between underfeeling and overfeeling, restricting yourself, which is then a setup for that overfeeling or that overeating. And it's that back and forth between over and under that can feel really chaotic. And so you may even start to see this pattern in other areas of your life besides food and feelings. A lot of people will also see this show up in their relationships, where relationships can feel really good and then they can feel really bad, or they can feel like things are going really well and then there can be a lot of conflict. And it's this constant back and forth that feels really, really chaotic. Okay, so how do we correct this where we can reduce the chaos and feel calmer and more balanced both in our relationship to food and also our relationship to feelings? Well, what we want to do is strive for balance, okay? We want to stay away from the not enough end of the spectrum and we want to stay away from the too much end of the spectrum. Now, here's the really good news. You don't need to go out and find balance, okay? This isn't something that's lost that you need to find. Balance is something that is already inherently designed inside of you, and you've just kind of gotten away from it. So we're going to bring you back to that balanced place inside of yourself. Now, I want you to think of the metaphor of a thermostat. When you have an air conditioning unit in your house, you have a thermostat that tells the air conditioning unit when to turn on and when to turn off. So you set the thermostat for a temperature that feels really balanced to you. And when the temperature in the house gets above that temperature, your thermostat will kick in and it will tell the air conditioning unit, hey, turn on and cool down this house so that I can feel more comfortable. And when that temperature gets reduced because the AC has been turned on, then eventually the thermostat will kick in and say, okay, let's turn that air conditioning off. We have enough cold air. So the thermostat is regulating too much cold air and not enough cold air, all the while trying to keep that temperature balanced so that you can feel good and comfortable. The same thing is happening inside of you nutritionally and emotionally. Your body has built-in thermostats. Okay, they're already there. You don't need to go find them. They are there. So when it comes to nutrition, your body has a thermostat that is designed to tell your body when it needs more food and when it's had enough food. So your hunger is always trying to stay neutral. You're not too hungry and you're not too full. Okay, that's going to be the optimal temperature in your house, if you will. When you start to get hungry, your thermostat's going to kick in and tell your body, hey, let's crave some food and let's get this person to eat because they need some food. So you eat some food and then your thermostat will kick in and say, okay, that's enough food. Let's be full and let's shut this eating process down, okay? So your nutritional thermostat is regulating when to eat and how much to eat. And if you listen to that, you will get that balance that you're looking for in your eating. Now, the same process is true with your emotions. You also have an emotional thermostat. So emotionally, our bodies are trying to stay at that balanced level we call equilibrium, where you're feeling in control, you're feeling relatively calm, and you're feeling like you're doing okay. But there are times when our emotional system gets dysregulated, right? We have stress coming at us, we have exciting things happening, and our emotions can go up and down, just like the temperature in your house can go up and down based on the weather outside and how much sunlight is coming into your windows and things like that. So when your emotional system gets out of balance, your emotional thermostat will kick in and it will say, hey, you're feeling sad, you need to cry right now. Or hey, you're feeling angry, you need to vent right now. Or hey, you're feeling really joyful, you need to hug someone important to you right now. And if you allow those things to happen, then your emotional thermostat will work and your emotions will get processed, and then your thermostat will kick in and say, okay, you processed that emotion, you're back to equilibrium, we can get on with our day. So that is how the thermostat will work inside for you nutritionally and emotionally, and your job is to trust that process and allow those thermostats to do their job. Now, in order to stay away from the not enough end of the spectrum, you have to be willing to always give your body sufficient food and nutrition. So when that nutritional thermostat says, hey, you're hungry, you need to eat, your job is to eat. Your job is to make sure that your body is sustained. The same is going to be true with your emotions. When your emotional thermostat kicks in and says, hey, you're feeling something and you need to deal with that, your job is to deal with that, not shut it down, not diet away your emotions and try to not feel them, not deprive yourself of whatever's going on emotionally. And when you can stay away from the not enough end of the spectrum and interrupt that process of chaos where you're not doing enough and then you're doing too much, you will find that the balance naturally emerges, okay? You interrupt that chaotic ping pong and you don't bounce between not enough and too much. You will feel balanced, you will feel regulated, and you will feel in control and calm. No more chaos. Can you even imagine? Okay? So it is totally possible to get out of the food and the feeling chaos and get into a place that feels balanced and regulated and calm. Follow the tips that I gave you, and I think you'll be surprised how much better you feel, okay? So this week, focus on those thermostats inside, focus on listening to them, and really allowing your body's natural balance to emerge, all right? I'm super excited for you. Now, I'll be back here next week for one more facet of the parallels between food and feelings, so stay tuned. See you soon. Bye-bye.